Penguin Random House Audio presents The Fourth Cup, Unveiling the Mystery of the Last Supper and the Cross, by Scott Hahn, foreword by Brant Pitre, read for you by Arthur Morey. Foreword. Brant Pitre. Jesus of Nazareth was a man of many mysteries. He taught in puzzling parables. He performed strange signs and wonders. He asked riddle-like question after question. And his Jewish disciples and the Jewish crowds he taught, although he frequently stumped them, loved it. But the mysteries of Jesus didn't end with his public ministry. According to the Gospels, he continued to do and say puzzling things right up to the moment of his death. One of the greatest riddles of Jesus' passion involves the mysterious vow that he made during the Last Supper. On the night he was betrayed, toward the end of the meal, Jesus solemnly declared that he would not drink the fruit of the vine again until the coming of the kingdom of God. Luke chapter 22, verse 18. Compare with Matthew chapter 26, verse 29, Mark chapter 14, verse 25. Later on, when he was on the way to Golgotha and the soldiers tried to offer him wine, true to his word, he would not drink it. Matthew chapter 26, verse 34. Compare with Mark chapter 14, verse 23. On the other hand, according to the Gospel of John, at the very last moment of his life, right before he died on the cross, Jesus requested for wine to be given to him, saying, "I thirst." John chapter 19, verse 28. Even more mysterious, after drinking the wine, he declared, "It is finished," bowed his head, and gave up his spirit. John chapter 19, verse 30. What are we to make of this riddle? How could Jesus vow at the Last Supper not to drink wine again, refuse it on the way to the cross, then turn around and ask for a drink right before he died? How can we reconcile Jesus' words at the Last Supper with his words on the cross? Was he breaking his vow? Or was something else going on? To top it all off, there's one more puzzle to ponder, one that takes place between the upper room and Calvary. In the Garden of Gethsemane, when Jesus was praying about his death, he said something odd. "My Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." Matthew chapter 26, verse 39. And then again, "My Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done." Matthew chapter 26, verse 42. Now, if you were about to be crucified, is this how you would have prayed? Why did Jesus speak about his death as drinking a cup? What cup is he talking about? In The Fourth Cup, Dr. Scott Hahn gives us the keys to unlocking this mystery, the mystery of the Last Supper and the cross. He does this in two ways. First, by going back to the Jewish roots of Jesus' words and deeds, and second, by telling you the story of his own personal journey from Protestantism to Catholicism. The result reads almost like a detective novel, an exhilarating journey of discovery that will change the way you see the Last Supper, the Passion of Christ, and the Eucharist forever. I'll never forget the first time I heard one of Dr. Hahn's presentations on the Fourth Cup. I was completely blown away. It was like reading the Passion of Christ again for the first time. Don't get me wrong. It's not as if I had spent nights lying awake wondering why Jesus vowed never to drink wine again at the Last Supper, and why he asked for a drink on Good Friday. Nor had I wondered all that much about why Jesus talked about his crucifixion as drinking a cup. I just took these things for granted. But after listening to Dr. Hahn's lecture, it was like the pieces of a puzzle that I didn't even realize were there suddenly fell into place. What I had always wondered about was this. Why do Catholics believe that the Eucharist is a sacrifice? Didn't Jesus offer himself once and for all on Calvary? What is the link between Jesus' offering of his body and blood at the Last Supper and his death on the cross? If you've ever wondered the same thing, or if you've ever celebrated a Passover Seder, or if you've ever just wanted to deepen your understanding of the Jewish roots of the Eucharist, then I've got one message for you. Read this book. And don't just read it. Pray about it, reflect on it, and share it with others. Because if you're anything like me, once you begin to see the mystery of the Last Supper and the cross through ancient Jewish eyes, it will completely change your life. For as Dr. Hahn shows, the Passover of Jesus that began in the upper room and was consummated on Calvary is still with us today. Whenever and wherever Mass is celebrated, the Paschal mystery, that is, the Passover mystery, is made truly present. The fourth cup not only solves the mystery of Jesus' vow, it will also give you the missing link between the upper room and Golgotha, and help you to see more clearly how the sacrifice of Christ at the Last Supper and the sacrifice of Christ on Calvary are the same sacrifice, poured out for the forgiveness of sins and the redemption of the world. Matthew chapter 26, verse 28. Preface. In 1989, at Marytown in Chicago, I first gave a talk titled The Fourth Cup. It was about some of the studies that had led to my conversion to Catholicism just 3 years before. I was at the time an assistant professor of religious studies at the College of St. Francis in Joliet, Illinois. I wasn't earning much, I had no tenure or publications, but I was a happy man because I was Catholic, and I wanted to tell the world. Now I had an opportunity. It pleased me that I could tell my story to a small assembly of interested folks. It pleased me more that they responded so fervidly to my talk. Word spread, and other groups invited me to tell the tale of my hunt for the fourth cup, which I cast as a detective story, starring myself as the hapless investigator, which I am. Peter Falk's Columbo was my model. That was, of course, millions of words ago, dozens of books ago, thousands of lectures ago. I have long since lost count of the number of times I spoke on the fourth cup. It's definitely in the high hundreds. I've delivered this talk on several continents, almost on site at the upper room in Jerusalem, and I've even told the tale at sea. Last year I was talking with an old friend who's heard me give the talk on several occasions over the years. He pointed out that I never give the fourth cup the same way twice. I always cover the same time period, but I draw from different events and different ancient sources. I acknowledged that he was right. I underwent that great adventure from 1982 to 1986, when I was a young husband, a new father, a recently ordained pastor, and a neophyte scholar. I was encountering so much of life for the first time, and then God introduced tumult and turmoil that threatened everything. I was just beginning to love. I stood to lose everything that had given me comfort and confidence. My pastorate, my academic position, my friendships, even my marriage seemed capable of collapse. How could I distill all those experiences into a single talk? I couldn't, of course. So each time I would just tell my story, using the Passover as my theme, and I'd keep a close eye on my watch. I filled the time with whatever stories and sources surfaced in my memory. My friend suggested that I gather those stories and sources into a single book that conveys the full sense of adventure and sleuthing, and so I have. And here it is. I've tried to avoid repeating tales I've already told in other books, such as Rome Sweet Home, co-authored with my wife, Kimberly, and The Lamb's Supper. The stories here are meant to supplement my earlier accounts. When I was studying in a Protestant seminary, some of us liked to sing old-time hymns. One of them went like this: I love to tell the story, 'twill be my theme in glory, to tell the old, old story of Jesus and his love. I sang it true all those years ago, and it's still true. After 30 years, I'm still unspeakably happy to be Catholic, but I still want to tell.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?